got an interesting topic today. Everyone is talking about it on the Twitter. You can't get away from it. It's like, V, did you see the Amouranth? And like my first question is, who? Famous Twitch streamer V, Amouranth. Have you not heard about her? Did you see the drama? Oh, I see. She's a multi-millionaire. Yes, multi-millionaire. I genuinely don't understand, man. I am trying my best to figure it out, but I can't. Why are people getting so emotional over this? I mean, my favorite argument was with a person on Twitter. And do you know what he said? Do you know what he told me? Why he's getting emotional? I mean, it shocked me when I heard, chat. It was, he is emotional because he has empathy and compassion. Oh my fuck. He's got compassion, chat. So I assume, and by the way, like you will see these people with compassion on Twitter. Like there's a lot of them. And they're very aggressive. Like they will hurl insults. They use the word fuck like a punctuation sign. Incredibly aggressive on the internet. Like I can assume that there's drool coming out of their mouth as they're like, must defend multi-millionaire lady. Look at this guy, doesn't agree with her. I must attack. Because I have compassion. But if this is compassion, I wish I had less of it, Empathy, oh my god, it's the noble endeavor, the pursuit of empathy on social media. To harvest empathy, that's what you do, it's like in Dune they harvest the spice must flow. That's on social media, the empathy must flow. We must constantly harvest and improve ourselves as humanity to ascend, to upgrade ourselves to the next form of human evolution. And we can only do that by harvesting the empathy. Now, what is interesting is that these people do not harvest empathy by, like going out and giving money to a homeless person, trying to take care of a soup kitchen. I mean, that's difficult. That's effort, going outside. Like, stay on social media and be like, Amouranth, like, did you not see? Why do you not agree? Why do you not believe her? Why would she... What is wrong with you? Is this the hill you want to die on? Holy shit, like, that's Twitter today. Unfucking real. Now, my point is, like, why do I keep pointing out that she's a multi-billionaire? Is that there is absolutely nothing you can do to help her out. Like, even if, alright, like, you have noticed, lady in distress, she requires your help. What can you possibly do? Okay? Like, she has more resources than you, your entire family, and your circle of friends put together. There is nothing you can possibly do in order to improve her situation. Like, you can dedicate your life from this moment forward until the end of time to try and improve. Like that is your goal in life, okay? Like, that is the goal you have set for yourself, and you will never, ever be able to accomplish that. You will not be able to change her life in the slightest. So, my question is, like, why aren't these harvesters of empathy doing things that they can influence? Like, you can go out and you can donate to a needy person. You can help a friend with something that they require. Like, go to an Amish, help him build a barn. You can actually do something that is concrete. Plant a tree. If you plant a tree, 20 years from now, you can sit with Greta Thunberg and you can look at it smiling, seeing that the tree has grown. But, like, these things actually change the world. You can actually shape the world by doing these things. But attacking people over the internet while being hyper-emotional over their take on the recent Amouranth drama changes absolutely nothing. Like, you will not be able to improve anyone's life by doing this. Good evening, B, says Seiji. Fun seeing you on the Lotus Eater. Why, thank you. What do you think of it, if true? The husband selling her out to the lonely guys, based or filth? Oh, we're going to talk about that in a bit. V, this time I'm charging $10 to listening to this. Holy shit. She needs your $5, Zenith. No, Zenith, that's my money. Right. So there are people who do not know the controversy I see in the chat. I'll do a quick recap. It's on Reddit, the controversy. So Amouranth has argument with her husband and says he was telling her to pretend to be single for her audience. Yes, in other words, selling the girlfriend experience to young, impressionable teenage boys wasn't her fault. She was pressured to do so by her husband. But now finally, justice has been done. She came out and she said, look, I didn't want to do this. My husband was making me.
I've been wanting to tell people that, like, let's just stream together. Just tell them that we're fucking married. Because it's like, our relationship would be better if we just stream them. And it's fighting all the time. But no, mister, don't say that because it's going to ruin the business model. It's not time yet. Fuck yourself. I'm done with it. I'm not going to fuck you anymore. Piece of shit.
I would also like to point out that, as I mentioned on my video today, there are people out there. And unfortunately, they have a right to vote. But it's scary when you think about it. They genuinely think that it's surprising that Amouranth is married. Like, they are taken aback by it. They're like Pikachu face. They are like, le gasp. Like, what? She has someone? Oh my god. I thought that a multi-millionaire woman that looks like this, who is insanely famous, is single. Right? Like, this woman that plays video games and has a 10 out of 10 body and she's got millionaires of followers and is filthy rich, owns a business, has the capacity to put herself out there. I thought that she is single. And I thought that I'm the only one that understands her, that truly gets her. God. You know, this is probably what happens when you watch too much anime, I guess. There is this anime trope, which I actually talked about it in a previous episode, but if you watch a lot of anime, you will notice that usually it isekais as well. Like, there's this very hot, young-looking woman. She can kick ass. She's very competent, but she is single. And she falls in love with the main character because usually at school, everyone was bullying her. For no reason whatsoever. It's just that... Or maybe like some contrived shit. You know, like she was poor and people were bullying her. But other than that, like, she's a 11 out of 10. Like, she excels at everything. And it's only the main character that notices that she has a really nice personality and manages to seduce her. Right? Like... So, you guys know the anime that I'm talking about? Because it's almost in every one. Like, the really hot supermodel. But I'll give you that, you know, in anime, like if you look at My Hero Academia or Naruto or whatever, right? Like in these animes, all the girls are hot, right? So maybe that's the explanation. It's not like there is one girl that's an 11 out of 10. No, like all of them are amazing. So maybe in such a universe, yeah, sure. JoJo Arc 1, man, there are so many like that. There are so many animes like that where the woman is just like insanely hot, but she has been mistreated and no one likes her, but then the main character comes out and gives her attention and she falls in love with him deeply. And I think like this is what a lot of men on Twitch believe when they look at these e-girls. They think like, yeah, you know, like she must be single. Like she must be single and I need to swoon in and rescue her. And it's like the girlfriend experience. It's like, oh my god, really? Rustavio says, I worked overtime today. I listened to 4 hours or so of your live streams. Jesus fucking Christ. Thank you for staving off the boredom. Really? 4 hours of I would not be able to watch even 4 minutes of myself, but thank you. She looks like she could be Amber Heard's sister. I don't know. You know, like, I'm not going to say... Look. There are two types of people, and I disagree with both of them. There are the people that think that what Amouranth is saying is gospel. Okay? Like, they believe absolutely every single thing that she said. And then there are the people who do not believe a single word. And I'm like, look, I don't have enough information to know. I don't know her as a person. It doesn't have to do with a man or a woman. I don't know her. Do you know her? Like, do you speak with her? Do you talk with her outside of her streams? Do you even watch her stream? I don't know the type of person she is, right? And I can't base my understanding on two people based on a couple of seconds. It's like, I know it's the TikTok era, where if you show a 20-second conversation with someone, then you can judge their entire personality and live the experience. I can't do that. I really can't. I know many people around me who are into relationships, and they have had arguments. And some of the arguments were with cursing, with shouting. Obviously, they weren't physical, right? So no abuse. But, like, you know, the type of argument like, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I heard it from my neighbors, like, yelling when I was living in a one-room apartment constantly. But, like, if you cherry-pick that, if you just take an argument and you're, like, showing it to the public, yeah, it looks horrible. But that doesn't mean that their entire relationship is built around that, right? Like, and you can never tell about a situation just by hearing one side of the story. It's why when you go to a criminal court, the defendant has the right to defend themselves, right? Like, the accusation comes there. One person tells their side, the other person tells their side. If you're not even willing to listen to both sides, you're never going to understand what's going on. I mean, look, I'm pretty sure you guys have friends, right? Hopefully. I don't know. I guess. But, like, doesn't it happen that you have a friend and you talk with them, and maybe they had a spat with another friend? All right? Like, not even a relationship thing. But, like, two guys have a spat. And you talk with one of them, and the way they describe the spat makes them look like they're innocent and the other person was abusive and they were horrible, right? And then you talk with the other friend, and the story is completely different. And they're like, no, they were in the right and the other person was wrong, right? Doesn't that fucking happen all the time? So if that happens all the time, why do you think we can assume that we know what happened just by listening to it? To like 10 seconds during a heated argument. Now, of course, you know, if this is true, because I can't tell if it's true or not. I mean, it can even be a PR stunt for all I know. Like, how can you prove it's not? Right? Like, is it possible? Sure. Probably unlikely, because I don't think, like, any person is that dumb enough in order to risk getting the ire of millions of Sims on the internet, right? Like, if you're really that, like, for how much money would you be willing to do this stunt? Like, if Amouranth paid you, it's like, hey, you know, can you pretend to be my abusive husband and I'll pay you? Like, how much would you take? Because, like, your social life is over from that point. Like, the internet is going to find out eventually who you are, because, like, she's got millions of subscribers. Like, they will find out who this person is, and he's going to face social justice. Probably never going to be able to get employed again, right? So I don't think it's a fake. That's why. I don't think anyone is dumb enough in order to go along with something like this. But at the same time, you know, how do I know that she isn't also abusive? Like, how do I know that they're not both abusive? I don't, right? So why should I make a judgment just based on a couple of seconds? I mean, maybe, you know, they deserve each other. How the fuck do I know? Or maybe she's actually a victim. But what I do know is that there are people who are going to pick one of these sides, and they're going to go on social media and argue with other human beings about this as if their life depends on it. Like, they will laser focus a random person on Twitter that they never spoke with before. They are going to engage in a heated argument, and if they had the power, they would ruin the other person's livelihood just because they have a different opinion than them. I am shocked that her husband was e-pimping. That's one of the accusations we're going to talk about it. Sounds like Komi-chan, most realistic girl ever. I do not know who Komi-chan is, but it sounds interesting. If Amouranth gets a divorce, will he get half? Depends on the laws of the state they are, right? Like, but usually, yeah, like under a divorce, he would probably get half. which is one of the rare cases where the man might actually get rich from a divorce. But we don't know what he does for a living, right? So for all we know, he may be the CEO of a big corporation. So he might actually be even richer than her. Who the fuck knows? It's weird that she still had the cleavage out when she was very, very upset. Well, I suppose, because I haven't seen the stream, but I would assume that she didn't start the stream being upset. Like, she was streaming and he called her, and that's when she got upset. She could pretend to be getting a divorce, selling just the divorced experience, therefore staying off the ire of the Discovery manager. Man, like, all of these things can be possible. Like, if you're an honest person, and you're looking like, what are these people? They're entertainers. What is their job? To entertain. How do they make money? By having clout. Okay? Like, every time they're in the public spotlight, that's how they promote their business. Like, that is good business, to be in the public spotlight. Can it be real? Like, can it be something that's not contrived? Yes. But can it also be something that's contrived? Also, yes. No one can say for sure, unless you actually know these people. Like, if you're a person that knows Amouranth in real life, yeah, you can say for sure. Like, but even then, like, even if you know for sure, I mean, there are times when a friend of mine comes up and tells me something from his relationship. Does that mean that I automatically believe him? It depends on the friend, I guess, and I would have to look at my entire relationship history with that person to know how many times they were honest. If they're, a trustworthy person, if they're the type of individual that embellishes things. I mean, I know so many individuals that just like to make shit up. Not because they want to lie, but because they want to create a more interesting, compelling story. All of these things factor together. You can't just look at the internet on a small phone call and then make the decision that, yes, she is definitely guilty, or no, she is being 100% abused, totally not her fault. Like, you can't know these things, right? I don't know what led up to that phone call. I don't know what led up to that argument. Like, maybe she has, I don't know, like $500 million in debt, and they need to come up with the money, which goes to the other point. Thank you, 700 millions. Holy shit. Goes to my other point. The simping, right? Not the simping, sorry, the pimping. The pimping. So, one of the main concerns, which she is bringing up, and from my understanding, because, like, again, the stream isn't out there anymore. She deleted it, but we only have the clips, and people that claim have seen the stream and their interpretation of it. I understand that she wanted to stop streaming. So, she either wanted, she wanted to have more wholesome streams. Like, she wanted to come out and say that she is married, and she wanted to start streaming with her husband. So I assume, like, they love each other, right? Like, if you want to stream with him, I assume, like, there is some love there. But he doesn't want that. Like, he wants her to do bathtub streams, and he wants her to continue the business model of targeting the more young, impressionable teenage boys. So, the thing which I don't fucking understand, right? She's a multi-millionaire. Like, she's got a lot of money in the bank, and on top of that, she also has a business. Like, this is why I appreciated Amouranth, because compared to many other people who managed to get rich, she actually invested in her business, right? Like, Boogie was trending on Twitter a couple of days ago. I haven't followed Boogie. I don't know if this is the accuracy or not, but, like, he invested a lot of money in crypto, and now that the crypto has gone down, he is in a little bit of a pickle, right? So Boogie didn't actually invest in a business. Amouranth did. So, like, I think she has a gas station or something. So, if you're a millionaire, a multi-millionaire actually, right? Like, not $1 million. Like, you have many $1 million in the bank, and you have a business. Why are you focusing on making even more money than you need? Right? Like, if I would be the husband of Amouranth, and I would see that she's actually being unhappy and miserable, continuing doing this, like, assuming that what she is saying is true, right? Like, she doesn't want to continue doing the girlfriend experience. which probably has some truth to it. I mean, she is of a certain age, right? Like, this idea of being the girlfriend experience is probably tempting when you're a teenager and a little bit after that. But after a while, you grow up and you want just to, like, move on from that type of lifestyle, I guess. Like, why would you push her to keep making money? Like, what is the point? Like, how much money do you fucking need? This is another thing that I ask people, like, why do you make money? And many people just don't understand. Like, many people make money in order to make money. It's like, no. Like, you need to have a goal. Like, for example, you make money because you want to buy a house. You make money because you want to have children. But, like, if you manage to reach the level where you've made enough money and you also open the business so you have money making other money, why do you keep making money? Just calm the fuck down. V, giving out more quantity and quality content than Netflix. Oh, wow. Well, the bar is so low, Bistifus. I don't know what to say. Make money to take over the world. I guess, like, if you're trying to build an empire, you make, like, a profitable business and then you want to expand your business. I get it. But, again, like, if she doesn't want to stream anymore, why force her? This is what I don't get, right? Like, if she is tired doing those types of streams, why would you keep what is the point, right? Like, this is what I don't get. Now, yeah, it's kind of like a football player, like she is starting to show age. It's kind of like a football player, like Ronaldo and Messi. Like most football players, they don't get to play by the age of 50, right? Like at one point they retire. So if you're a football player, you know that you're going to have a very short career compared to other jobs. So you need to figure out an exit plan. You need to start either doing a business or focus on becoming a coach or trying to become an actor, something like that, right? But like, you know that as a football player, you can only play football until you're like 32, 35, I believe. I don't know exactly the age, but like most football players, they retire quite early because it's difficult to compete with other younger and more athletic individuals. So, she's not dating the man, she's married. And again, like a lot of people are asking, why is she still dating the man? And that's proving my fucking point. You cannot make a judgment based on a few seconds clip. Like maybe they love each other very much. Maybe they're fucking each other 24 fucking 7. And this is just one of the spat that they had for this particular month. Maybe they, like, she focused on the negative during the stream, but like either than that, she loves him a lot. You don't know these things. Like you can't possibly know these things. Or maybe she's abused. That's also a possibility. But like there is no way of saying this as if you have reached the alpha and omega of relationship understanding just by watching a 30-second clip. And by the way, if people would break up, like if people would file for a divorce, every single time they have a spat, I think there would be no more marriages. Like, I have seen spats a lot worse than what happened there. Because I worked in a hospital and I talked to patients. Like, there have been spats a lot worse than what I've seen with Amouranth. I mean, first of all, you go on Twitter and there's a lot of people saying, well, why is she calling the police? And I'm thinking, call the police for what? Like, I'm looking at it and like, what crime has there been committed? Like, name me the crime. Like, tell me which article of the penal code was violated. Like, that's a civil dispute. Like, the only thing she can do is to file for a divorce if she thinks she can't understand him. But like, what crime? Like, she hasn't been assaulted, right? Like, she never claimed that he was physical. The only thing that she claimed is that he was threatening her dogs and he denied it. So, like, what crime are we talking about? There's another one saying that, well, he controls her accounts. Like, he has access to his passwords and shit. Well, if you're married, you own half of, like she owns half of what he does, and he owns half of what she does. And at the end of the day, I guess, like, she gave the passwords. Like, he didn't steal them, right? So unless you can make the claim that he stole her money, which she didn't say, like, the claim was that he was threatening her to take money, but, like, she never said that he did, well, then that's no crime. I'm sorry, but, like, no crime has... I don't see it. Like, I bet maybe Riquieta or some other crime and law can come up to me and tell me which particular crime has he committed. And even then, she was, like... It wouldn't be that the police would come in and arrest her. It would be a civil lawsuit. Like they would have to go in a court of law and she would have to prove that her husband stole money from her. So I don't understand, like, what is the argument of saying to get the police involved? Like, while she is getting abused mentally, right? Like, it's an emotional abuse, I suppose. If you're going to call the police for emotional abuse, you're going to have to build a lot more women prisons. Because, like, I know a lot of friends that have their women emotionally abusing them. I mean, probably you guys know someone which has a girlfriend or a wife emotionally abusing them. Right? So, like, if every time that would be the case, if every time, like, a woman would be emotionally abusing her husband, and that would be a case for the police to come over, well, I think we would need more prisons. I think, like, the prison industrial complex would skyrocket overnight. I would know where to invest in new stocks. It's like prison.com. We should stop doing public divorces. Well, that's another thing, you know. The moment, like, someone has an argument, the solution needs to be divorce. It's like, well, why the fuck did you get married then? Like, marriage shouldn't be like dating. It shouldn't be like dating plus ultra. No, it's like you got married, right? Like, try to work it out at least. Like, try to figure out a way. You know, go to a marriage counselor, find Jesus. I don't know, but, like, surely you can work it out. I'm pretty sure she does something that he doesn't like. Like, surely you can negotiate. Otherwise, you're not adults. Like, adults, they talk about things and they try to find a solution. Women emotionally abuse all the time. I thought it was a default. Shut up, misogynist. Abuse through coercion. My fucking god, do you know how much coercion happens in a relationship, man? Like, even the proverbial, if you don't do what I want, you will sleep on the couch, which I think is something that's used by a lot of women, even pop culturally, and from lived experiences. Not with my wife, but I used to have an ex that was the same. I mean, that's coercion, right? Like, if a woman says you either do this or you sleep on the couch, that is coercion. Is that a reason to call the cops? Is that a reason to say that your wife is abusing you? You know, like, I mean, I guess it's not a good thing to do. It's not something that is polite, and it's not a good way of having a marriage where one member coerces the other. But, like, come on. Like, coercion happens in a lot of relationships. But that is no reason to call the cops. Refusing sex used to be a crime. Oh, well, I guess it depends on the country. Here it wasn't. But still. Like, it is a way where, yeah, like, women can have power over men. They can refuse sex. It's like, you upset her and she doesn't want to have sex as a way to punish. Like, that can happen, right? But I don't think you should call the cops. Like, I think that's just the normal part of many relationships. I'm just so tired of millions of tax dollars to fund courts to divorces. The divorce industrial complex. Do you notice that the more rich and famous people are, the more likely they are to get a divorce? I mean, look at Hollywood. What is the divorce rate in Hollywood? It's fucking skyrocketing, isn't it? It's just astonishing. To the point where you have to ask, like, why do these people even get married then? Like, what's the point? Like, if you're going to treat marriage the same way you treat a relationship, why do you get married? There's absolutely no point. I had a girlfriend who tried the couch threat. I moved her pillows to the living room. You know, there's different solutions for the couch threat. Most women don't do the couch threat anymore because they probably are afraid that the husband is going to end up cheating. I mean, if you live in a society where there is huge stigma against sex before marriage, and you have, like, a sex negative culture, then yes, the sleeping on the couch thing can work. But if you live in a society with Tinder and OkCupid and Grindr, and God knows what else, yeah, like, making the man sleep on the couch, you'll be like, okay, and the next day he's on Tinder and trying to figure out it. Like, if he can't get the import, maybe he can get it from the exports, if you know what I mean. An argument in a relationship, that's a big red flag. You need a divorce immediately. And find someone who treats you right, queen. Oh, absolutely 700 billion. Oh, I really love this, you know, like, this should be the motto for today's stream. An argument in a relationship, that's a big red flag. You need a divorce immediately. I did say the thing, yes. A marriage based on a love of money and deceit. You don't know, like, so I don't know how much debt they have. Like, maybe she got her business on a loan and she needs to pay it. I don't fucking know. Which is why I encourage people to use the word I don't know more often. Like, it's okay not to know. Like, you don't know their financial situation. But if she actually has tens of millions in the bank, and she actually does have her own business and doesn't have debt, then yeah, the husband is a little bit crazy if he keeps instigating her to do something that she doesn't want to do. Like, if you're the man, fucking get a job. Like, why don't you produce money? But this is something that I don't understand. And by the way, I don't even know how it's like the thing with Amouranth and other women like her, they're going to have a major problem finding the quote-unquote right man for them. Because they automatically, without even wanting to, they emasculate the man that they're going to be with. I mean, no, seriously, like, think about it, right? Me.
Oh, don't say that. Cause...
Hold on. So, if you're a man, and you're in a relationship with a woman like this, right? So, she's got millions of other men that want her. She's got millions of dollars. She has her own business. She looks like this. What exactly are you bringing on the table? Like, no, imagine for a bit. Like, a serious question. Imagine for a bit just the type of man you'd have to be equal with her in a relationship. To at least bring something on the table. What exactly are you bringing on the table is my question. Like, what can you offer? Like, she already has millions of dollars in the bank. She looks like this. She's got millions of followers. She's got, like, everything. Like, what can you possibly offer? The only way that she could have, like, a man that she won't emasculate, if she finds another streamer. Or an actor. Or, like, a famous neurosurgeon. Or something like that. If you find, like, an average guy... without even wanting to, subconsciously, he is going to feel inferior. Like, he is going to feel that is not good enough. And because of that, there's going to be arguments. It doesn't matter that he has half. She doesn't know you are not equal. It's deception. Yeah, but like deep inside, the man knows. Like deep inside, he knows that's like, okay, she's out of my league. And it's not just because of the body and the looks, but it's also the finances and the fame and the prestige and all of that shit. You know, like, he knows that, oh, well, like, I can never lift myself up to that. So because of that, I assume, it's why he keeps trying to push her to do more money, to make more, right? Because he can't do it. Like, he can't do it. And by the way, this type of relationship is very toxic, and I noticed it with parents as well. Like, there are certain parents, and this is the worst type of parenting possible, when, like, let's say the father wanted to go to university, and he wasn't able to, right? Like, because, I don't know, maybe his parents didn't have money, or maybe he wasn't smart enough, whatever. So the father couldn't go to university, and now he is trying to force the child to do what he couldn't do. So he's going to become incredibly abusive, and have unreasonable expectations of the child constantly, and trying to force the child to go to that particular university which he wanted, and get, like, really good grades in school, even higher than the ones that the father got, right? And he's not doing this in a way because he, like, wants to help the child. He wants to actually see the kid succeed. No, it's like he is taking his own dreams and ambitions and projecting it towards the child. Like, he wants the kid to become the thing that he couldn't be. And usually, from what I have seen, like, in those types of relationship, yeah, living vicariously through the kids. Like, every parent that does this ends up with the kids not wanting to deal with them anymore. The moment the kids are independent, the moment the kids are out of the house, They stop calling. They don't want to talk with their parents. They constantly have fights because they will remember the trauma that they endured by having a different dream being forced onto them. So in this situation, right, like if the story is true, and the guy is like, well, I couldn't be a streamer, I couldn't be that big, and it's now like living his dream through her, yeah, I can see why that would be a toxic relationship. Child emancipation is a thing. Well, yeah, but like, again, it's a toxic relationship because the kid suffers, right? Like, for example, let's say your dad wants to be a musician, and he couldn't be a musician, and that was his dream. So now he's forcing you to be a musician. Now, maybe you don't want to be a musician. Maybe you want to be a mathematician or a doctor or whatever, right? But no, like your father insists, and he sends you and he forces you to play that flute, and he gets angry when you can't play it properly, and he gets really abusive whenever you're not interested in music, right? So what ends up happening is that when the child manages to get out of the house and start living his own life, he's going to stop talking with the father. He's going to remember all the arguments and all the bad negativity which he grew up in, and he's going to have a negative relationship. Watch out, the husband coming out as being trans. Oof. Dead Poets Society. Yeah. Like that Dead Poets Society is a really great example. Like that is an amazing example. I forgot about that movie. Going too far. Everyone must become a musician. Know that. I want to be a political YouTuber like Vosh. Generally speaking, wealthy women will definitely be more picky, while men have a subconscious desire to be a provider and a protector. Yes, but like, and there's also another thing, right? Like, we don't know how long this relationship was for. I mean, maybe she got married before she went famous. So, like, she met this guy in high school, let's say, and they have been together since. So, yeah, I mean, maybe when they got together, like, he felt that he could provide for her, but now due to her meteoric rise, he feels insignificant. So, who knows? But, I did notice this in couples, okay? Like, lived experiences. I don't have, like, the study and the doctor with the lab coat, but I do see people around me, and I'm very interested in this particular type of behavior. Whenever the woman starts out-earning the man, there's always, almost every single time, scandals in the family. And it's mostly because the man feels inferior. That's my analysis. So he starts becoming insecure. He starts becoming afraid that she's going to leave him. And it leads to arguments and fights. Now, my experiences are with people that had like a little bit wage increase where the woman earns a little bit. But I can't even imagine how it's like to be married with a multi-billionaire. Which is not just a multi-billionaire, but like she's got millions of fans and she's got all these people desiring her. I mean, wow, that's it's really difficult to get. Beware of insecure men. Well, yeah, but like men, I do think like men want to be providers. It's like the lizard brain. I mean, why are so many men willing to defend Amouranth? Because they saw a pretty girl crying. Like when you see a pretty girl crying, the lizard brain flips on to protect mode. And you're trying to protect, right? Because the lizard brain does exist and it is powerful. Gender roles are actually a thing. So men want to be provider, but like how can you provide if she's already providing for herself and you can never even provide half of what she does? And the thing is, like, I think a relationship is about completing people, right? Like, you bring something, she brings something on the table. But, like, when one part just brings everything, then what exactly can you contribute with? Like, you feel useless. This was another thing that was a dating advice I once heard. And this was from when I was a teenager. This guy was very successful with online dating. Right? Like he mastered it before it became a thing. He said something very interesting. It's like a lot of people, they put their profiles as if they're perfect and happy. And the main problem is that if you want to attract a woman, like she needs to see herself in the picture. Like, if you're always happy and you're always perfect and everything you do is fine, then where does she belong, right? Like, if you're already happy by yourself, and if you're already doing everything and it's everything great, well, why would you need her? Like, what? How can she look at that and say, oh, well, this is where I can come in and help out, right? So, like, you need to have, like, at least one flaw. You need to have that flaw that makes you human. And in reality, when I thought about that later on, I realized it's not really the way he described it, but it's more like humanizing the person. Because, like, if you only have perfection, like, if everything is too perfect, then people realize that you're lying. People realize that, yeah, well, you know, like, this guy says this and this in his profile, but, like, it's too perfect. It's too nice. It's too godlike, you know? He's not Jesus. So, subconsciously, like, without even thinking, people realize, yeah, there's probably something going on, you know? It's probably something weird. But if you have a profile that does have room for a little bit of mistake, like a little bit of error, then you have the I can change him mentality, right? Like cause like I mean, look, there is a video game right now, which is very popular. I will show you the video game. Hey, hold on. I wonder if Pippa will play it on stream, because it's a very interesting game. Heal Hitler. You are Hitler's psychologist in 1925. Diagnose his complexes by using both Jungian and Freudian psychotherapy and attempt to heal him. Resolve Hitler's trauma and prevent catastrophe via therapy and psychology. Succeed and avoid the war and the Holocaust. And many people, they're like, you know what? I can change him. I can fix him, chat. I can fix him. I can make him whole. Like, just give me a chance. I can make it better. I can fix him. There's no, I don't think Pips will play that. I think her boss is going to spring up. Hold on. I can show you another one. So, this lady, and I pointed before, is a Satanist which murdered someone in Germany. Now, she was found guilty and she was arrested, right? But, like, other than that, she seems perfect. Like, she's from a nice family. She's really good looking. A little bit on the edgy side. Makes me think that I can joke with her. I can find some common interests. Really nice hips. Like, really nice hips and boob ratio. I really appreciate it. But she has that one flaw, you know. She has that one defect. Like, that one problem. But it makes me believe that if I was single, I could fix her, chat. I could dedicate myself. And I believe that with a little work, I could fix her. This is what I'm talking about. You know, like, if she wasn't a murderer, she would be unapproachable. Because, like, I don't see myself in that picture. It's like, okay, well, she's from a wealthy family. German, I mean, oh my god, like, the German, very good looking, right? Like, there's probably a lot of men. Like, she doesn't need me. But now, because she has this one flaw, I understand that I could be of use to her. Like, I could provide something for her, which she doesn't have. So I could try to fix her. I could heal her. You know, like, if this was in my country and if I was single, I would try reaching out and I would be like, look, why do you want to do this? Like, surely you don't really mean it. Let's go to an amusement park. Let's do something fun. Just take a few dates. You know, try to fix her. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Like, it's like you need to have a flaw. You need to have something that the other person can try to work on. Other than being insane, she's perfect. Well, no one can be perfect, you know? Like, you need that little bit of insanity. I mean, Harley Quinn is in vogue. There's a lot of cartoons with Harley Quinn, right? Like, a little bit of insane girl is the current pop culture thing, so yes. Where does this fixing mentality comes from? I think it's like, again, it's the desire to bring something in the relationship, right? So if a person is broken, like, first of all, this is my philosophy. If you think that something, so every person in the world, man or woman, they have a level of self-esteem. Like, every man and every woman, when it comes to dating, they believe that they know their level. And it's the same with getting a job. Like, if you're a doctor, you think like you know your level. Like, okay, well, I'm this amount of good. There are these other colleagues of mine that are better, but there are these other colleagues of mine that are worse. And it's the same with, like, dating. You have a sense of self-introspection, and you're like, okay, so I'm like a 7 or an 8 or whatever. And when you look at another person, you compare your worth with theirs. And you're like, well, I can be with that woman, or I can never be with that woman because she's out of my league, right? Now, when someone is broken, when you see the flaws of someone, you can believe, and this is true for women as well, like when they see a perfect man with a huge flaw, they can believe it's like, okay, because of the flaw, now he is approachable. Like, he is now in my league. Like, without the flaw, he would be out of my league. But because of the flaw, he is within my league. So, if I get him and I fix him, then I can be with a man that's way out of my league. And men think like this and women think like this. Right? It's basically like you're trying to justify why you can be with a person because any other way your brain would say, no, like, don't even try having a relationship with this person because they're out of your league. Yeah, fix Sauron, exactly. Psycho girl appears. V. Hello, my name is V and I can fix you. Abso-fucking-lutely. It's a gift for society. Tell me I'm wrong. And the I can fix him mentality does not come from female with broken father figures. I've no idea. I mean, there are women that I know have strong father figures and they didn't have any problems in the household and they still have the I can fix him mentality. I just don't understand why that mentality exists. It's also another case where the same mentality can happen. So what I said previously is the first situation. There's also another situation where the person is genuinely in love. And, like, let's say a woman is in love with an abusive man, right? So she actually loves him, but, like, she would prefer if he wouldn't beat her all the time, right? So every time the beating happens, she's like, well, I can fix him. You know, like, it's something like, if we get rid of this, then it would be a perfect relationship. But unfortunately, it never works. Which is why I encourage every single woman, and it's what I would also tell my daughter. And by the way, this is actually true for men. No, it's actually a general advice for everyone. The moment that it gets physical, just end the relationship. There is no fixing. Right? Like, the moment the first slap appears, the moment the first, like, there are two types of men. Men that beat women and men that don't. Right? There is no in between. So the moment, like, you have any sort of physical altercation, just stop. And it's true for men as well. Like, if your girlfriend beats you, and I know cases, right? Like, I even had, sometimes you shouldn't say these things on the internet, but I did have an ex which would punch me in a joke, like when she got angry, but then her fist would hurt, right? But when that happens, and I was too young at the time, and the relationship was horrible, it didn't work. But when that happens, the woman doesn't respect you, right? She has no respect for you as a man. And not only that, but, like, if you get in an argument, and this never happened, like, I don't know anyone that has done this, but it's possible that in some cases it can happen. If you get in an argument, right, so you have, like, a very heated conversation, and let's say that she throws a plate or she gets physical, and the man responds, well, if you don't control yourself and you respond, you can provoke more damage than you'd want. And when the cops come, who are they going to believe? So this is why it's the best thing ever. Whenever you get in a physical altercation, right? Like, if the woman hits you, you should end the relationship. Like, she has no respect for you. And I'm not talking about a hit as a joke, right? Like, tee-hee, ha-ha, like she's teasing, you know, she punches your shoulder. No, like she actually wants to hurt you. Like, she gets angry and she kicks you, or she gets angry and she tries to punch you, or anything like that. End the relationship. It's not worth it. Throwing stuff ends the relationship. Yes, throwing stuff is definitely problematic. A lot of the hospital cases, like I seen men getting wounded, is either because the women threw hot boiling stuff on them, or because they threw with stuff at them. So they threw plates, they threw kitchen knives, they threw stuffs, and it's definitely not a good place to be in. Why not just punch each other equally? No. Like, what type of relationship would even that be? I mean, it's not even like a brother and sister type of thing where you're like getting in a little bit of a struggle snuggle. Like you see in anime. No, it's like mature people do not do that. Yeah, you can't say, "Don't worry, officer, it's just foreplay." That's my bar. Like, about your whereabouts. I dropped the lady, very simple. I also suspect a woman that asks too much where I am. Why you wanna know where I am? You wanna know if I'll catch you? Where are you? What? I don't get that. Sister got stuck in the washing machine again. Oof. It makes me ashamed that I actually get the reference. If two gay men that fight each other, which one goes to jail? That is a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I guess the one that looks more muscular, right? Because you like, if you're the police officer and you see someone that's like really buffed, you see Tyrone and he's like a muscle house, and then you see Chaquito, and he's the other person in the relationship, but he's like really thin and small. I think like the cops would side with the thin and small guy. I don't know. It's a good question. Women that always ask where you are cheat. My wife never asked me where I was, so I guess I'm safe. What if he or she hits the wall? If he or she hits the wall, it's fine. Like, if you're having an argument and like she hits the wall, or like he just punches the wall or something like that, that's fine. Because it's difficult for a person to control their emotions, right? Like, I understand that first of all, it's different from person to person. Just because a person can hold their shit inside and another one can't, doesn't mean that I can't sympathize with a person that has difficulty mastering their own emotion. Like, not everyone is a Jedi, okay? Like, not everyone is a Buddhist monk. And hitting the wall does no damage, right? So if that's the way for the person to cope with the pent-up anger, and again, like, depends on the argument, right? Like, if they're arguing over some important stuff, like, for example, I don't know, they left the kid unsupervised and the kid was playing with the gas stove, and then the guy came in and the entire house was smelling like gasoline, and he managed to fix the gas, and then the wife comes over and they're having an argument over it, and the guy is really angry and he punches the wall. I don't think that's, I mean, you shouldn't, but I don't think that's an insurmountable problem. I don't think like that should be a relationship ender, right? Just because he punched the wall. But it depends, you know, how many times does he do it? Like, because if he constantly uses that as an intimidation tactic and life becomes horrible because, like, of the mental abuse that you're, like, seeing someone punching a wall is definitely not a pleasant environment to be in. And if he constantly does it and there's constantly arguments over it, then yeah, maybe you should consider leaving. Or at least discussing, like, where do we go from here? But, like, if the guy just punches the wall once, you know, like, he's really angry over something that's justifiable and he just punches the wall, that's fine. Walls lives matter. I had the guy shoot at me not long ago. Well, if you're a woman, why the fuck are you still with him? I mean, that's actually a calling the cops event. That's not even a dump him event. That's like put him on behind bars event. Someday, well, you know, you also notice this in gaming, like, what was the name of, Wings of Redemption, right? Like, there's a scene where Wings of Redemption gets up and punches the wall and makes a hole in the wall. Like, not, I wouldn't necessarily like consider these individuals to be dangerous. I mean, if they never hit anyone and they're like, why do they punch the wall? It's because they're aware they shouldn't hit someone else, right? So they do have self-control, but they should work on it. Like, they're not quite there yet. Like, surely that can be improved, but they require a little bit more. I have dated a lot of married women in my youth. They lie about where they are and always ask where the cock is. I didn't know that. They always ask where the cock is. If you punish the glory, well, it's also, I guess, like, I have a more understanding now that I'm older. You know, like, I know so many people that broke their own keyboards while playing FIFA. Or Mortal Kombat. It's actually hilarious, right? And you regret it. But again, they're not necessarily dangerous individuals. Like, I had a friend which constantly broke his controllers, but he never hit someone at school. He never abused or, became violent towards another person. But if you happen to be a controller in their hands, you should write your will and testament. Like, I guess, I don't know why people do it. I generally don't. I think, like, they just lose control, but they still have enough control to understand that hitting another person is bad. And it's probably, like, a thing where they don't realize their own strength. Like, sometimes as a man, and I notice this with almost all men, okay? Like, men don't like to talk about it, but it's true. Like, men are a lot more, like, when they get emotional, they can become more aggressive. I don't think this is controversial, but, like, you see a football match, and the guy starts getting up and screaming at the television. Now, when he does that, it makes no logical sense. Like, the people on the television do not hear him scream. There's no one else in the house that watches the football match but him, and yet he still gets up and screams at the television, right? It's a way for men, I guess, to release that pent-up energy, which is not healthy for those around them. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that these men are dangerous. I wouldn't say that they possess a danger. And it's the same with, like, bashing the keyboard, throwing the mouse. And the thing is, like, most of the time, they don't even understand that the damage that they're doing. So going back at the man that screams at the television, why does he do it? It's because he got really invested in the game. Like, he really cares about the game. The game isn't going his way. He gets frustrated. So he screams in order to release the pent-up energy, and it makes him feel good. It's the same thing like women crying. You know, like, cause women always talk, it's like, why don't men release their emotions more? Why don't men are more in tune with emotions? It's because men don't cry, they get angry. And if you lose control of that, it can end badly for the people around you. So, when they smash their mouse or punch the keyboard, they do it in order to release some of that pent-up energy and feel good. But the problem is they don't understand how strong they are. So when they punch the wall and they make up a hole in it, or they smash the mouse and it breaks into little pieces, they immediately regret what they have done. And they wouldn't think that their action would have justified that mouse being broken. I hope I explained it really well. I more like to shout at my monitor. Well, many men have, like, different ways of coping with pent-up frustration. Right? Like, women usually cry. But men don't feel the need to cry. Like, men feel the need to express themselves through other means. And one of them is shouting at the computer screen, punching the wall, hitting the keyboard. And as you grow up, as you mature, you start to control yourself. You start to realize how to keep your shit a lot better than when you're a teenager. And hopefully, you end up not having to do these things. But there are even grown men that still shout in anger at a football match or start cheering and going like, goal! You know, like, why do they do that? Like, I used to be living in a one-room apartment that I could hear my neighbor perfectly, and I knew that my neighbor was home alone watching the game, and all of a sudden he would explode yelling goal, right? It's like, dude, no one hears you, no one fucking cares. Why are you doing that? It's because he got emotionally invested in it. I can never understand, like, the connection that people have towards sports. I know not what they experience. Like, why would you... I mean, if you bet money on it, right? Like if you bet money on your team winning the game and your team wins, then you're excited because you won, right? But like, if you have absolutely no investment in it, and usually they care about the team not because like of any other reason, but besides the fact that the team is like from their town or something like that, and they get like really happy when the team wins, and they get really angry when the team loses. I don't know. It's something that I never experienced. So. But what I do know is that those men aren't necessarily dangerous, right? Like just because they get angry and punch the wall when their team loses, that doesn't mean that I would be afraid to hang around those men. Romanian sports ball is soccer or football. I used to punch trees, though it was usually only when my mother that could make me that angry. She's the reason that I have the patience of a saint. Punching bags, large punching bag from the city. That is a really good way of relieving stress. Yes, and that's also something that I was recommended when I was a teenager. And it helped me out a lot because I was really stressed with all the studying that I had to do at school and with all the shit that the teachers would put on me. And I was also, well, as most high school kids were, like I was bullied. Not more than usual for my country, but it was still annoying. And what one of the people that I knew, which was a psychologist, told me is like, go to a gym and practice boxing. And I gotta say, it made me a different man. I mean, like overnight, I was like, wow. So like when women say like, why don't men cry more? And my question is like, why don't men hit the gym more? Like nothing makes you feel more comfortable with yourself and puts you in a better mood than like going out and hitting that boxing bag. Especially when you're a kid. Yeah, and violent video games, the same thing, right? Like if you play violent video games, but it's not really the same because like kickboxing is an actual physical activity, so I guess like video games can be if they're, but like video games can get you angry as well. So that's not a good way, right? Because if you play Dota, League of Legends, or FIFA, that can also add to the anger. So no, what you need to do is like you need to go and hit the gym, do some kickboxing. An outlet, yes. Play League of Legends. Get mad at bad game. Not sister wife. Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about men that are angry at other people, right? We're talking about, like, a situation that makes someone angry. Like, let's say, you know, the man is trying to do some carpentry, and the furniture didn't came out right, and now he's really angry. Like he can't find the hammer, so he gets really angry and punches a wall because nothing goes right. You know, like that type of person. I wouldn't say that's a dangerous individual. I wouldn't say that's a person that should seek help. But he should still control himself. Why not deal with your problems directly? Use your enemies as the punching bag. Well, like, sometimes you don't have enemies. Like let's say you had... Okay, didn't you ever had a day where everything goes bad? Like, you get out of the house, you miss the bus. You walk on the street, there's a car that runs in a puddle and sprays you with water. You go to work, the boss chews you out for being late. And then when you get home, you're on the toilet, and when you reach to the toilet paper, you realize there's none there. And you get so fucking angry of all the things that happened that day. So it's not just one thing, but it's all of them together. So you get angry and you just punch the wall. Right? Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, that's not necessarily the symptoms of a dangerous person. Or another example. Let's say you wake up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. You can't see shit. You just go out of bed. It's cold. You know, it's the middle of the winter, so it's cold in the house. You're in your underwear. It's not pleasant. And as you're going to the bathroom, you manage to hit your toe against something that's on the ground. Like, let's say a big chest that's on the ground, or a drawer that was left open. And you hit your toe right there. Right? Like, that makes you angry. That makes you shout. That makes you a little bit upset. And some people can manifest it in different ways. Like, for example, you can go work out. You can train your toe. You get the muscle toe. You get, like, the toe of Hercules. And then you kick that fucking drawer so hard you break it into little pieces. And that brings you satisfaction. You know, that's like the revenge. It's a really good hero arc for the toe. Lifting heavy items is fulfilling. Yeah. Lack of toilet paper wall punches is how glory horns are born. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. anger and frustration have a bit of nuance. Yeah, they did. They manifest differently in different people. You can't be the guru of anger and frustration and decide how other people should manifest it. Even just shadow boxing can help. Sometimes you don't even need to make contact with something, just need to wind yourself. Yes. Especially like teenagers have this problem. But like when you start growing older, like, this is another reason why I believe the most amount of men that go to prison are young men. Like, mostly teenagers and young adults end up committing violent crimes. Men that are over the age of 35, they know how to keep their shit together. And I believe this is just like, it's not just like when you're young, you want to prove that you're the best and you like have something to prove and whatnot. But it's also due to the fact that when you're young, or of a particular age, you don't know how to master your emotions yet. Like, you don't know how to keep your shit together. But when you grow up, you start being more wise, you start understanding the world more. And probably that's why most teenagers have these emotional problems and not adults. Anyway, right. We end up talking about more than Amouranth. Regarding Amouranth, I guess we're going to know more about it in the future. Like, the conversation is ongoing on Twitter right now with different sides taking different opinions. I would like my personal take is that I can't make any assessments based on a 40 seconds clip that I seen. I mean, sure, yeah, they had the spat, doesn't look good for the man, but at the same time, I don't know anything about him. I mean, she probably loves him. That's why she's in a relationship with him, I assume. Right? Not good if he actually pushes her to do hot tub streams and lie to her community. But I do want to point out some things that I didn't like about her interactions. Like, she basically said, there are people in the chat which would probably treat me better than him. And I'm like, really? You think? That's an interesting way of phrasing. Yes, there are people in the chat that would treat her better than her husband. Oh my fucking god. Like, when I heard that, I was like, bleh. Bleh.